a quorum. Good work, Molly.
Yay!
So I will call to order the Wednesday, January 20th meeting of the Gig Harbor Arts Commission at 4 minutes after 10 a.m. We will first start the roll call. I'll start it and just call out your names when you hear a blank space. Charlie Glock Jackson, Chair.
Robin Ovney, Vice Chair.
Dan Bozen.
Lynn Stevenson, Commissioner.
Jennifer Beard, Commissioner.
Samantha Kelly, Commissioner.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for being here. I hope everyone survived the windstorm. We were without power for 31 hours.
Oh,
Now we're back and everything is good.
ay, ay, ay.
Well, we're pretty much prepared for it out here in the woods. So
Yeah.
let's see. First, we will approve. We have 2 meetings worth of minutes to approve.
No, only one, actually. You already, I think already did September 18th. Did you not?
I have listed on the agenda November 18th and December 2nd.
Okay.
I'm looking at the
October.
agenda that we would have been following last week. So trusting that everyone has read the minutes, are there any corrections or additions to the November 18th minutes? Samantha?
Yeah, just if we want to be accurate, under motion to approve minutes for the 9/9 and 9/11 meeting, it says that there was a unanimous vote. I actually abstained because I didn't have a chance to read those minutes before the meeting. So to reflect accurately.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Do I have a motion to approve the November 18th minutes?
I have, this is Vice Chair Robin Ovney. I make a motion to approve the minutes.
May I have a
As
second?
amended.
As amended. Dan is seconding it. All in favor of approving the November 18th minutes? Aye. I guess we can raise our hands. Good. All right, let's move on to the December 2nd minutes. Are there any changes or corrections to the minutes of December 2nd?
I just had a question. It's listed as a special meeting. Wasn't it a regular meeting?
No, we had it
We
early.
had a special meeting. We had that special meeting.
Any other questions or additions or corrections? In which case, may I have a motion to approve the December 2nd, 2020 minutes?
Motion to approve.
I second.
Okay, that was Jennifer and Samantha. All in favor?
Aye.
Raise your hand.
Aye.
Yeah, good. All right, excellent. Thank you very much. Molly, thank you as always for keeping us recorded and printed and safe and sane. All right, so
Charlie, before you get started, I just need to say that I need to jump a little after 11. I have a conflict that came up, so I just wanted to say that at the top of the meeting.
okay,
If there's anything
Right.
that you think I should be here for, you want to make sure you cover.
right, thank you. We may not get all the way through the agenda today because we need to focus on updating our Creative Endeavor grant, which I think you should be here for, Robin, because you're the one who does all that formatting.
Yeah, it would be great if we go over it, but Lynn, if I can volunteer you to take notes on that, because you're very accurate. I'm not as accurate with my and then just she can share them with me and I'll update them.
Right,
Okay.
okay.
Great, great.
Thank you, Lynn.
And thank you, Robin. And if I may, because Robin is going to have to be leaving, there is one thing that is on her list, and that's the workshop schedule, which is a new business item. It's just a placeholder, but Robin, is there anything that we should add on that?
No, I think though it's been on hold. However, I do think, exciting that the vaccinations are beginning to open up and that we'll just see where Gig Harbor as a city begins to move in the phases and see if we can do that and move forward.
Great. Okay, then let's jump back to old business number 1, the Creative Endeavor Grant Program update. I assume that everyone received several things from Molly and me. Number 1 is the approved budget that was approved by council in December, I guess, which reinstated our grants and also allocated funds for a number of other of our work plan items. Today, we'll just focus on the Creative Endeavor Grant Program, the application update.
I just
Council,
want to say a woo-hoo for that. And thank you, Charlie, for anything you did there with working with the mayor and council.
yeah,
That,
well,
that was a big deal. So thank you.
yeah, thank you. Well, thank you all for all you do. So we do have a couple of suggestions to last year's application form. One of which is some of our applicants had problems putting all their answers in those formatted boxes. And that's just a formatting thing. So Robin, I'm sure you can do whatever needs to be done to make sure that those boxes expand as people are typing into them.
Yeah, we'll test it. We didn't really have much time to test it last time, but
Yeah.
then put it on the list for me.
Great, great. And also one thing, and we'll go through it item by item in just a minute, but I don't want to lose track of a couple things that we need to address. Another one is apparently we need to give more clarification to when projects need to be finished and invoices submitted. We had one, bless their hearts, grant recipient that didn't send in their invoices until after the first of the year.
What?
And Molly had to get special dispensation. Molly had to get special dispensation from Dave Rodenbach, the city finance officer, to accept that those invoices because they were after December 31st. So somehow we need to play to the lowest, the highest possible opportunity for misinterpretation and make it absolutely clear that they must have their invoices in by what, Molly, the 20th of December?
Yes, if we could put it right on the application
And we'll put it in bold.
in bold.
Got it.
It
Okay.
And
was
I
in
think
there.
we should also say that if you don't, do you want to say if they're not submitted in time, that they run the risk of not being reimbursed?
Oh, it won't be, yeah. It was in the contract itself, but it wasn't on the application. And so
Okay,
people
Well-
don't look at contracts. They just, oh yeah, sign in and turn them back over.
Okay.
So-
we'll fix that.
So on the date of the projects, on the very first page, it does say final project reports must be received by December 11th.
Uh-huh.
Do you just want to make that final project report and invoice for
Yeah,
reimbursement?
I think that's a good suggestion.
Good
Jen.
idea, yeah.
Did you set final project reports and invoice? Is that
An
what you said?
invoice. Great.
To,
Okay.
in order to, something like, we'll word it a little bit different, but something like, must be received by this date in order to be eligible for reimbursement,
Great.
something along those lines.
Is there anything else on page 1? In addition to that change we've just made, anything else that needs clarification?
I couldn't read Mary Manning's note up here.
Yeah, I'm trying to find those.
Yeah, I looked at Mary Manning's notes too, and I would just say I agree with them all. They're good notes. They're not extensive. Molly had sent them as an attachment. And I think they're all great comments. And one of them is the box needs to be bigger, move with that. And then there's just some, some verbiage that she suggested, which I think are all great. So
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
Can't read
And
the first one.
Mary is a former arts commissioner who served for 2 terms and was also then, as her term ended, was part of the group that put together the poetry readings. So she has had firsthand involvement in actually filling out this form, and that was very helpful to us. So anything else on explaining how the project will target Gig Harbor residents? Do we need to have anything else on that? I'm looking at number 5.
Actually, can I jump back to number 2 and number 4?
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. I skipped over those.
That's okay. I think those could be combined because how you'll engage the public often kind of works together with the benefit that you'll provide.
Okay.
Maybe the box is a little bigger to accommodate the 2, but
yeah, I agree. We want to try to avoid redundancy. So that's a great suggestion.
and
Everyone
then
else- Go ahead. I'm
on
sorry.
number 3, explain how the city's funding. I think we need to insert the word will support this project.
Yeah, or make supports.
Or
make it
supports, either way.
Oh, yeah, we'll support.
And then one of the things that Mary added, which I really liked, was that she said that we need to state that we may elect to award only a portion of the funding requested, more for clarity. And I like that addition a lot.
Okay.
Because I think, yeah, if we don't state it, people are like, well, how come I only got 1,000 when I...
Sure. Where is a good place for that, do you think?
She notated that it's on under the funding guidelines
Okay.
and processes. So is it? Yes, it's under created the last page 5.
Oh, yeah. I found
creative-
the suggestions.
Yeah.
They were right here in my pile.
If we wanted to add that also to this question 3, where it's asking how would the funding support this project, or if it could be done without funding, how would it improve the project? We could also add in there, how if only partial funding is awarded, how would you use that or something? If we wanted to put it in multiple places.
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion. I think redundancy is good in these types of cases in different sections, like in the application itself, and then repeat what's in the guidelines is great. So thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Another suggestion that Mary had is number 4. Explain how this project will directly engage the public. And she is suggesting somehow perhaps working in the public or the audience, the participant, the viewer.
Yeah, I think with the suggestion of combining 2 and 4, we can say, how will this project directly engage the community, the audience, participants, and viewers? So I think we can just wrap that all out again.
Okay. Did you get that, Lynn?
Well, right. So it replaced public with audience, participants.
And viewer, yeah.
Well,
And then we're going to combine 2 and 4. So I'll massage the language somehow there.
We're combining 2 and 4 or 2 and 5?
It was 2 and 4, right?
Okay.
Right, Samantha? Yeah.
Great, thank you. Anything on Number 3, we already did. Number 5, explain how this project will target Gig Harbor residents, or if the event is designed to bring visitors from the outside, how will you advertise these visitors to visitors? I think that's pretty clear.
Yeah, me too.
Marketing 101.
Yeah.
Number 6, in the events, in the event, if this event has received Arts Commission funding in the past, please explain any proposed changes to the event and any change in the requested funding amount. I think that's important this time because we will have some, I hope we have some applicants that we awarded grants to last year. So
Yeah.
any changes on that?
Nope.
Venue accessibility, that's pretty darn clear.
Charlie, can I ask a quick question? I don't know that it needs to be in the application, but do we also have a supplemental document that's like a rubric for deciding who gets funding? And are we prioritizing previous awardees?
Yes, you have a rubric that Len created. And we have not talked about, are we prioritizing previous awardees? I think last year, and Charlie, correct me if I'm wrong, and Lynn, that we had decided that we had some repeats, but we were also more encouraging to get new projects into the pipeline, is what I recall. Do you guys recall that?
I'm not advocating that we prioritize past recipients. I'm just curious about what we're hoping to get out of this question in terms of our decision-making process.
Oh, okay. Well,
Molly?
We've been criticized in the past, and in fact, it's one of the reasons that we may have lost some of our grant funding in the past, was the comment by a council member that it was just the same stuff year after year after year after year. And so any encouragement or any way that you can prove that it's the same applicant, but it's a whole different new program type thing, that this was supposed to be a seed money to get them started so that they could go off on their own and develop their own program, not always using the city money as keeping them afloat. And so I think that's why they were trying to, I don't know if you would prioritize against them or just encourage them, please come up with something new type.
If that's our philosophy, that we want to support new programs, I'm not seeing that language anywhere on this application. Or I've missed it, which is highly possible.
What if a program takes more than a year? A year's program sometimes isn't enough to get a quality product.
That's
Can you
true.
Can you have a phase 1 and 2 where they describe 1 year and then the next part of the next year before they're able to go on their own?
I would support something like that. How about, because I think that's a good point, Dan. Anyone else have thoughts on it?
Well, I think this is only the 3rd year we've done this, and last year was kind of a bust. So that's why there hasn't been this problem of projects coming back, repeating themselves. First, I don't think it doesn't seem ethical, I don't know, to prioritize any previous applicants or recipients, right? Do people do that? Anyway, I would be opposed to prioritizing anybody. But yeah, I think we'd be open to project proposals that do have phases. I mean, each phase might need more different support, and it might just need the same support. I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with that myself.
I just want to throw out that sometimes as recipients on grant funding, sometimes you come up with a really good program that's really successful, but it's never going to pay for itself because it's either free to the public, it provides a service, So donations just don't cover it, but it is a successful program. And it can be really, really tough to get many successive years of finance or grant funding for that sort of thing because it's not new and everybody wants the new shiny coin. And so I think maybe that this is maybe a broader discussion, or maybe some parameters are put on, especially with performances and things like that, that are more a public service versus like a creation of a piece of art or something for funding on that. I think it's a bigger discussion that probably could go into a rubric, and I think having phases or something would be helpful. But I don't think that just because something is repeat that it should be less valued. It might actually be providing a really good service.
Very good point. Very good point. Any other discussion on that?
I would just say whatever we decide, we need to work that into question 6, because right now question 6 is somewhat prioritizing something new or something different. And it also reads as if maybe it's prioritizing previous applicants. So I'm not advocating any answer to that. I also apply for grants all the time. And I, like Jennifer, I'm like, why do we have to come up with something new? We have an amazing product that's already like great.
It ain't broke, don't fix it.
But if our funding is at stake by supporting existing programs, then we need to be really clear up front that this grant money, what is awarded to new programs. And if that's not true, I don't know that history there, but
Well, there isn't much of a history here, but you know, but I guess I would say that I think the idea, as Molly said, is it was like people didn't apply because they thought they wouldn't, like in the past when there was this program, my understanding, oh, well, you know, they always give it to the so-and-sos, so why should we apply? And part of this is to encourage new efforts, especially in the off season, to help encourage people to come to Gig Harbor from outside. It's the community, but it's also the region. So as possibility. So I think the way maybe to look at it is to just say, you know, we encourage something about encouraging new applicants and value previous applicants, something like that, maybe. Does that make sense, Samantha? Does that?
yeah, I think that does make sense. But I feel like I've read, not in this applicant, but in some other document, like what the purpose of the grant is. And I do remember this idea of like priority will be given to off season. Is that in this application? If not, do we need to ask that question?
I don't think so, but maybe we ask, encourage off-season, off-season projects in some capacity, because we're not ruling out,
Yeah.
you know.
Actually,
Yeah.
Actually, we do in the kind of overview, the top of which says Creative Endeavor Grants 2020 funding guidelines.
Yep, it's number 3.
Yeah, number 3, we say the target audience is Gig Harbor and the adjacent community, or the projects are intended to bring in visitors from outside the area. Events outside of the summer months / tourist season will be given preference.
I thought we were good that way. Thank you.
Just had to find it.
I wonder if we could simplify this again and just say, have a question on here that says, has this event or project received Arts Commission funding in the past? Yes or no? And then we can address it when we meet with the people and get more details about it, like, so that they don't feel like this question is almost implies a deal breaker for them. You know, it could be, you know what I mean? Simplify it. It could even be on maybe just the front page, a yes or no question, or, and then we elaborate on a lot of the details when we get our in-person meeting.
Any thoughts on that?
I think that's a good idea, because the simpler you make the application, the better too, because For the amount that people are applying for, you don't want them to have to spend an inordinate amount of time, so.
You know,
At this point, most people answer that, does not apply. And like, it's just, right now, a lot of people haven't reapplied. So, so if we eliminate question 6, but we ask the question where on, is that something that would move to the front page?
I think so.
Okay, so.
Got that, Lynn?
Yes.
Okay, so venue accessibility, I think this is pretty self-explanatory. Is it ADA accessible? And if not, what considerations for accessibility have been made? And the only applicant last year that had questions about that was the Open Studio Tour, because it includes a couple dozen artist studios, and not all of them are entirely ADA accessible. But they agreed to put a little ADA accessible symbol on the artist studios that are accessible. And we thought that was good enough. So any other questions on that? We're moving through this fast. Thank you.
Linda is just now joining the meeting.
Okay, let the record show that Linda Sutherland has joined at 10:31. Hi, Linda. So then, are there any, Linda, we are going through the Creative Endeavors grant process, the application. Were there any other suggestions from Mary that we have overlooked?
Not on the application proper, just on this guidelines. So when this is sent out, is it all together as one PDF? It looks like it's paginated that way.
It is.
Again, I thought all of her suggestions were good on this guidelines, page 3, or what page is this? 4.
It's actually called page 4 of 5,
Yeah,
I think,
page
well, on mine. Lynn, do you have access to Mary's?
Yes, I have it right here.
Okay. And we all, Molly?
If we could actually insert, since it's all one document, if we could insert the final reporting document to be included in the packet,
Good idea.
it saves me from forgetting to send that out and people not having it. It's all one application packet. It's really, really helpful.
Great.
So what's that?
Good idea. So we're talking about including the sample, we have the sample invoice.
Yeah, but not the final reporting document. which
Okay.
Completion report. Mhm.
That's a good idea.
Great.
You'll have to send it again, no doubt, but we can at least say we tried.
Yeah, yeah.
Would it be beneficial? I noticed some grant applications have a little checklist of, have you included this, and you check off the box? Or is that just too much?
Our application is so simple, I don't think we need that.
Okay.
If you wanted to put that on the invoice, however, and a giant disclaimer on this sample invoice, like, right now there's no deadline on here. It just says to mail it in. But this is where, like, up at the top, make sure you submit this by blank date along with your program. What are we calling it? Grant report, project report.
Project completion.
Yeah, good idea. On the sample invoice.
Yeah, like just like all the deadlines in giant bold letters, and then, an asterisk, if not received by this date, you will not be reimbursed.
Let's make it clear.
Yeah, well, it clearer, but poor Molly will still have to do it. Well,
Yeah, but
maybe not, you won't. You'll be retired, Molly. All right.
Ah.
Thanks a lot for deserting us. Thanks.
It'll be someone else. If it's Josh, Josh is highly capable and he dealt with the Arts Commission in Port Townsend, so.
really, do you
Yeah,
think
I remember that. And he is great,
he's
but
wonderful?
he's not Molly.
That's true.
Lucky
But-
you.
Big shoes to fill. So Molly, you think it will be Josh? No comment.
Her lips is sealed.
We can advocate.
Oh, that would be wonderful. It would be my hope, and that was my dream.
And I think Josh would like to do it too, from my guess. So he was very helpful with this application in terms of supplying what Port Townsend did. So
He's
Right.
He's awesome, but
Yeah. So we will take it upon ourselves as one of our little private individual tasks to advocate on behalf of Josh. I'm going on the record as saying that in our recording. So Lynn, did you get the additional language on the sample invoice?
Right, we need to talk about specific dates that go on this year's application. So,
Right.
right,
And we have to remember to change everything that says 2020 to
yeah,
2021.
And I looked at our budget. It looks like we were approved for 25,000 this year as opposed to 20. So we'll need to update that as well. And then wherever we put that with the note that, we will consider full and partial awards.
we got a raise. Awesome.
Yeah,
where did you say that should go, Samantha?
There are, which I will have to scroll and try to find, which I'm not very good at, several mentions in this grant application that we have $20,000 to dispense.
Okay,
So wherever it says that, we need to update that to 25. And then I would just say, as we agreed earlier, to put an asterisk, full and partial awards will be considered. And there was some language because we want to support as many projects as possible or something like that.
right.
I don't remember where it said that. I'm sorry. I'm scrolling this 6-page document too fast.
Right.
page 4 of 5, Creative Endeavor Grants Funding Guidelines. Is
Right.
where I see it, up in the title.
Oh, yes, it's the very
Yes, you're right.
graph.
I guess the way we got that extra 5,000 is because I just slipped it in our request. I might have thought that that's what we got this last year, but
Well,
but we got it. We got it.
never hurts to ask, right? You don't get it if you don't ask.
The benefit is so many projects in 2020 didn't use their money, and
Yeah.
will likely reapply again. So that allows us to reconsider those projects as well as new projects.
Right.
I have a question
Yes.
on page 4. Down under the first entry for things that are not generally considered a direct cost, the permanent or capital equipment.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if we want to define that value, because different organizations have different numbers that they use, maybe $500 or $1,000 or whatever for capital equipment. And the reason I ask is because I remember the boat shop wanted to get some equipment for filming. And I think that that's maybe going to be fairly common. I just purchased some equipment for filming at the museum. And so a lot of it is really fairly inexpensive, like around the $100 to $200 range tops. Is that something that we want to encourage for organizations or to allow to So organizations that want to develop their filmmaking capacity or other technical artistic things that might have equipment, small equipment.
Well, that's an interesting thing because with all the Zoom and with all the online and that's not going to go away. So I think this is a really good point. I mean, I was just listening in on a presentation the other day that is talking about hybrid, that they see that as the future because it's increased your audience in many cases
Mhm.
so much to be doing it online as well as in person. They see that hybrid model emerging.
And I
Um,
see that as an artistic endeavor that often using your own staff is beneficial and allowing their creativity to produce this product. Because if you take like a $2,000 or $3,000 grant, you're getting maybe 5 minutes of video from a professional filmmaker, which, you know, may or may not have, I mean, they're wonderful, but the impact long-term for the organization might be, they might be able to share more and be more engaged if they can develop, you know, teach them the fish, basically.
well, how would we, I mean, I like this idea. I'm just thinking, how would we phrase it? We could do a not to exceed amount.
Right.
So we
Like,
could
I know
phrase it.
for us, like, if, unless the expense is like over $5,000, we don't consider it a capital equipment or a permanent purchase. Like our computers, like, they're
Mm-hmm.
1,500 and they don't hit that line item of capital or permanent equipment. Now, that's too
Right.
much for this grant amount, but
I
I
thought
think
there
we
was
need to
some kind
define
of
what
a,
we consider capital though, for this grant.
500 or less, I don't know. Is that too much?
I don't feel too comfortable with that. I
Yeah.
think that's a slippery slope. I actually recently met a woman local. She's a musician, and I told her about our grant program and that she should come up with a project. But I said, you know, you can't ask for a new guitar. Like, we're not going to fund your new guitar or your microphone. And I think that, you know, we already turned down a couple applicants in the last couple of years that wanted that, and there's good reason for it. I just feel like we shouldn't be using public funds to provide things like that. I feel like we have to stand pretty solidly on that side, because I bet you there's a lot of gray area that would get very confusing.
one thing that we did last time too was that's a requirement. Molly has the reasons why. I think we were supposed to not give money for that. That
Right.
was a very strict requirement to
Right.
not provide that funds.
It's, would be considered a gift of public funds. This is
There
a
you go.
program that, instead of it being a program that benefits the citizens, it's enriching their own
Oh.
organization by
Mhm.
buying capital type equipment and new cameras and backdrops and guitars and things like that.
That's a
It's a-
totally fair point. I just think maybe the language in this needs to be clarified then to just say that maybe purchasing disposable materials or something along that lines. Just because capital can mean something to different people.
Oh, I see. The word capital is the,
Mhm.
Well,
We
we
need
could
to
say
find an alternative word.
equipment.
I guess maybe up at the top, because you say supplies and materials, so, you know, people could make the case, well, you know, I bought this $150 gimbal, it's a supply, it's not a capital or permanent equipment.
Mm.
So maybe if really what you're meaning is more disposable type materials, like,
Yeah.
you know, that are used for the presentation or used in the event or something along that lines,
I think it's project specific materials.
maybe that's a good way to put it.
So project-specific materials are okay. That's a direct cost that we
Yeah.
will support.
Consumables is another word maybe that,
Consume, okay.
So what if
Yeah.
under that, what if under that direct costs include, I add project specific purchases, you know, : supplies, materials? Would that help?
That's good for me.
I think so.
It's something you guys can talk about during their presentation.
Yeah.
Good, yeah,
Molly,
good. point.
is there city language that clarifies the types of things that would be considered public funds for a personal gift, or the language you just used?
I'll see if I can find it in the auditor's language, RCWs or whatever it is, the guidelines.
Also, the
think-
word equipment is like really different than a lot of the examples that were given. Like, I would not consider a guitar equipment. I would not consider a backdrop equipment. So like all the examples that were just given, I mean, a camera, yes, I guess that's equipment, but it's really gray.
Yeah.
Both what is included and what is not included. Those first bullets are really gray.
I'll see if I can get a better definition from the, well, good luck with Dave Rodenbach.
But we don't want to be in the position of turning down something for someone and accepting something for someone, and then people feeling that that wasn't equitable, that we used subjective decision-making criteria in that.
Yeah.
We did run into,
I
we
don't
ran
think-
into a problem the very first year with an orchestra that wanted to purchase some kind of sound bafflings for each instrument. Do you remember that, Lynn and Robin?
Yeah.
And
Some kind of brass instrument reflection device that attaches to the equipment that would live on, right? There was
Right.
another group band that wanted to buy a trailer for equipment hauling, you know.
That was an easy one.
Do with something that is perpetual, something that can be used again and again and again and again, as opposed to, like you said, project specific, like printing flyers and paint a backdrop and things that are just for that, for this grant project, as opposed to, oh, we'll just put it in the closet and use it again and again and again, you know? I think that's kind of the definition that we're looking for.
right. So do we have other discussion on that topic? Is everyone satisfied? Okay. Any other questions or discussion on the direct costs or on the following are not considered direct costs and won't be funded? Should we put on the following are generally not considered direct costs? Should we add and won't be funded? Or is it clear without that?
Okay, wait, where is that?
And will not be considered for funding. How about that?
Okay.
Sorry, where is that?
The bottom of page 4, the bottom of the creative endeavor guidelines, funding guidelines.
Right.
The following are generally not considered direct costs and not eligible for grants. Is that what you said, Robin?
Or
And
will not be
not
considered.
eligible for funding, for grant funding.
Okay,
And then I would also edit, there's a sentence in the middle of page 4, the commission funds results, blah, 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 not general expenses. Instead of the intent is that funding goes to the direct cost, the grant will only fund direct cost.
Yeah, the intensive funding is, you're right.
Because again, if the intent is, that just leaves it open for us to decide.
Right.
You know,
Right.
either is or it isn't.
That's what we meant to do.
Yeah.
So how should that go? Wait. Funding goes to the direct costs of the project. Funding,
Or just, I would just wipe that second sentence and say grants will only support direct cost, not whatever we're gonna call the, I don't know. I guess I would just say that the funding will only support direct cost of the project, period. Just take out and
Direct costs.
Right.
What if they want to rent the, buy the equipment and rent it back to the project? I mean, that's been done, so.
Well, I guess the funding would not fund them buying the equipment.
Well, they wouldn't put down that they bought it. They'd only
Yeah,
put down that they rented it.
If they're renting it, right,
Renting works.
that's
That's the way to get around the
their,
capital equipment, at
That's
least
on
part of the capital equipment expense.
But can you rent from yourself?
Can you? That's what I'm asking.
Well, I know you could, but is that,
You can produce an invoice from yourself.
right, they'd have to show receipts.
It's easy to start a company.
want that, then we could say, on the invoice, like you're not allowed to reimburse yourself.
Okay, something like, words like that, just to prevent that, because it's happened.
Yeah,
because you could rent yourself your guitar, or rent yourself your camera, or rent yourself your,
Now, the
Uh,
Hart Country Museum rents themselves their public event space, like, Chris.
Well, I was gonna say, that's like corporate charging one department over another, you know?
yeah.
Just
We'll just move it over here.
Yeah.
They'll never notice.
That's a good point, Dan. We just need to put that somewhere, maybe on the invoice line, or we could put it here.
Yeah, put it out front to keep them from even
Yeah.
thinking about it.
Being,
so where does that go? Where?
I would put it,
Fund- Funding guidelines, page 405. Whatever, add a line or something.
or you could just put like, where, like under the bullets of all these direct costs, just an asterisk that says, invoices will not be accepted for rentals or expenses.
Well, rentals,
Yeah, rentals from the grant
Yourself.
or something. Yeah. I don't know how to word that.
Hmm. Well, isn't that kind of stuff at our discretion, like when we're discussing and then we'll,
Well, I'm not sure that,
I would like to make it really, really clear so that you aren't going, well, yeah, maybe. But, if you put it right there, I mean, would you have to say even that you couldn't rent from a member of the choir? I mean, it would almost be like, okay, we're going to use Charlie's trailer to haul the equipment down to the park to put on the presentation. So, oh, I know how we can get some more money. We'll say that we've got a $50 charge for using the band leader's trailer that he uses all the time anyway.
So
I don't
under
know.
direct costs though, you have rental, space, supplies, materials and equipment.
yeah,
So that's where you need an asterisk. Can't be from the
think-
group itself.
I think you're opening Pandora's box by even putting it in there.
Oh.
can we really be micromanaging each of these expenses? Like, yikes.
I mean, if we got an invoice at the end and it was, to rent something from the company that we gave the grant to, which they clearly already owned, would
Yeah.
we deny that request? And if so, then we need to put it in there.
Yeah, and who's gonna monitor every single one of those invoices? I mean, I go through and I check to make sure that the invoices match. You add up all the invoices and it matches the final amount of the grant that they're being requested or less, to make sure that they aren't asking for more than they've been awarded. And as long as it matches, I put the voucher through.
Right.
Does the phrase re-granting of the funds, does that apply here? Is that what we're talking about?
I don't think so, because re-granting is going through another process of soliciting applications and
Basically,
the
all they
problem-
have to do is, because this is a reimbursable grant, they would have had to have already have purchased whatever this thing is or already own it. And so the invoice is just going to show rental of something. We aren't going to know ownership. Well, it would be on the invoice. Somebody would have to make up an invoice for the rental itself.
So Dan, did you have this happen before? You said, what happened before like this?
What was that?
Did you say you've experienced this before where a grant applicant sort of profited somehow on,
Well, yeah, we've experienced where people bought their equipment and rented it to the project that they were asking for the grant, to use in a grant. Which
So,
I would prefer that maybe that should be wear and tear. You know, like so much an hour, or, you know, so much a gallon for gasoline if you use your own car. But that was wear and tear on the equipment rather than rent.
right.
That
So-
that can't be very much money
How-
compared to buying it.
How did you handle it in Wenatchee? Did you put something in your grant in Wenatchee that dealt with this point?
I think we just mentioned that we can't reimburse money for something you bought for the project if you're gonna keep it. You know what I mean? I don't know how you work that out, but if say you buy a camera and you want to charge off the camera to the project, you can't do that. And I forgot how we put the words in. You can't rent it.
yeah.
The camera cannot exist after the project's over in your possession. I forget how they did that, but we had a couple instances where that happened, and we were able to prevent it. I don't know if when we moved, we really thinned down, so I don't know if I kept that, but I can communicate with them and see if they have a project description that explains that. I'll do that.
So that, well, okay, I'm just thinking out loud. Well, that sounds unethical, and like that's kind of on that person. It's not illegal, right? It's pretty legit, right? I mean,
Well, I wouldn't call it unethical because if it's a reasonable amount, but then you got to say, if I bought a camera for $1,000 and by the end of the project that lasted a year, I got $500 of it back, that would be unethical.
well,
But if you,
I don't know. I don't know. If I bought a camera because I don't, and then this project needs to use it, is that legit?
well, that's what we need to work out. I mean, that's the reasons. Is that allowable?
Gosh,
I mean,
Could
from
we
like a project cost analysis, I don't think that's not legit. I mean,
But he
Like-
owns the camera. They own the camera at the end.
yeah.
and
right.
And the project
But I mean-
paid for all or half of it. That's what's unethical.
But I mean, let's say they're using a projector to project something for everybody to view, and that organization or individual has that investment in the projector. I mean, there is that natural accounting of like where you depreciate
Now, we
over
could.
time and those costs are spread out over
we could-
time,
we could
and
allow depreciation or wear and tear, whatever you want to call it. That might be a way to.
and if the
reimburse
event can't go on without that projector, that's part of the cost of having that projector available for, say, 1 hour of
because
time.
if he has a projector and he can use it, and you pay a little bit for the wear and tear or the depreciation, it's probably going to be less expensive than if he has to go out and rent one. So you have to weigh the benefits to the project, but to call it renting it from yourself, that's what I guess the word shouldn't be. There could be depreciation or wear and tear, something of that order.
Well, like if you say, well, we would need to rent a camera for this project, but I have a camera.
Yeah,
You're gonna rent it. You can rent it from me. The project can rent it from me. I wouldn't have a.
well, that's the point. That's, when you say.
Yeah. I don't think we can police that. Yeah, yeah,
Anyway, everybody just think about it and maybe we can all put our words together and
yeah.
see if that's necessary to do, put words in like that. Or put it in a different way.
Well, I would like to get this, I think it's important that we finish this application today because we need to establish, I think we want to get it out to potential recipients as soon as we can. And then, we have to establish our schedule of,
Well,
okay,
let's-
applications
I
are
think-
open. Go ahead,
Oh,
Robin.
I'm sorry, Charlie, I didn't mean to jump in. Go ahead.
We have to say when, okay, applications are open on February 15th, question mark, or when. Then we're going to have the presentations by the individual groups. Applications are due by what, April? I'm pulling these dates out of the air.
Yeah.
Applications are due by April 1st. In-person presentations will happen on April 10th. So, but we have to establish, I feel that we should establish that schedule today so that we can get this show on the road.
Because it goes on the front page.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need dates.
So I think the philosophical question is, would we accept a receipt or reimbursement that originates from the grantee? And if not, then we can just put on the invoice, we will not consider receipts that originate from the grantee. So therefore you could not submit a receipt to rent something from yourself. Or if we don't care, then that's fine. But I think that language is where we get around that.
I think that would confuse the heck out of some of the people I've been dealing with. They wouldn't understand what that means. We need to come up with more clear.
Or you could just not, you cannot open that can of worms because a lot of people might not think of that anyways, and just say that any rentals have to be at fair market value. And so if you get like a rental that comes in for like an hour of camera use and it's, $600, maybe that's not fair market value and it's questioned. Whereas
Well,
if you
one thing
can,
for an organization that rents cameras, to rent a camera for one day often costs more than you could buy the camera. So
that's probably true also.
Oh, yeah, and who's gonna determine fair market value? I don't have the time.
Oh, God.
No, but if they could provide a comparable receipt, if they're renting to themselves and they can say, this is what it would have cost to rent, from XYZ cameras, and I rented it at half the cost to myself for that hour. To me, I would feel comfortable with that, but I don't know if that meets the intent of what the city is looking for entirely, so.
Hey, guys, I need to jump to my other meeting. I'm comfortable. I think this is a complicated issue, obviously, and clever. I never would have thought of that, but thank you, Dan. But I'm comfortable with, whatever you decide, and we can also tweak the wording a little. So just in terms of receipts, and I think I like what Jennifer said, which is, let's not open that can of worms, but I think we just need to have an answer for it. So,
Thanks, Robbie.
Thanks,
yeah.
Rob.
I'm sorry I need to jump, but happy Inauguration Day, everybody, and talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks, Robin. Take care. Be safe.
Everybody as well. Thank you.
See you next month.
So Molly, I think the real question here, since none of us see these receipts when they come in, it sounds like you or whomever's going to be in your position are going to be the ones to see the receipts and ultimately submit the check. What are your checks and balances, and what would be a red flag to you? And if it's a red flag to the city, then we need to put it in here. And if it's not a red flag to the city, then we need to move on.
Depends on if it comes in before the end of the year or after the end of the year. So far, they've been pretty cut and dried. I haven't had to really do a lot of scrutiny. And the accounts payable hasn't caught up with me yet. They just, as long as I attach a copy of the application and the grant contract. That was the other problem that I had is we sent the grant contracts out to the applicants and asked them to sign it and return. And I probably only one or two signed them and returned them. I've got a bunch that we signed after, they were approved by council, but they never did return them. So that's something else we're gonna have to bird dog. Maybe ask them to sign them before they're approved by council and go to council. That's,
I mean, I think
issue number one, but as far as the invoices, I'm sorry. I wish we had more time to actually do the scrutiny that's required. One of these days, the auditor may come back and smack me, although I won't be here, so they'll be smacking somebody else, but
well, our goal is to do due diligence, to spend community resources effectively. And if that isn't something y'all are scrutinizing, then I don't think we need to spin our wheels.
I agree with you. I'm inclined to agree, unless it was something that was so blaring and blatant that even I could catch it. If I caught it, I would have, which I have. I've caught things where things didn't add up, where I've contacted them and says, wait a minute, this isn't computing. Why is this A, B, and C? And they've had to resubmit. So
They have to submit a budget?
Yeah.
Proposal?
Yes,
Is it detailed or is it just total budget?
Detail.
it's fairly
pretty detailed.
Why do I not see that in here?
This is about a grant, this is about a grant applicant not benefiting financially from the grant, not personally benefiting financially, right? So we just try to cover our butts by just saying, something like that. No,
There'll be no financial or personal financial gain from any grant applicant, but I don't know. So they have to go out and buy paint to do something.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of leftover paint because they buy a gallon when they only needed a quart. That's still a financial gain. It's, it's.
It's slippery slope.
yeah, well, that's not like they're putting money in their pocket, It's not like, oh, I've got this old laptop and you want to use it? All right, that'll be.
So I think one thing that's missing for me is that this application doesn't include whatever that expanded budget looks like. So do we just ask them to give us a detailed budget? Like, where do they submit?
Samantha, on the very first page,
One, yeah.
on page 1, it's about 2/3 of the way down. Total budget, please attach to proposed budget for this project. Should we say detailed budget?
Yeah, I think so. And then what we can do is, depending on what we're going to look at that detailed budget. And then if we have questions, we could ask them in the application process and be like, whatever we need to clarify at that point.
So Lynn, did you get that under the total budget on page 1?
Yeah.
We're changing the word proposed budget to detailed budget.
Detailed. Yep, great.
Do we need to remove the word proposed? Because it could change.
I know, that's what I was just gonna say. I think it should say proposed detailed budget.
Proposed detailed budget. Okay.
Okay, Samantha, are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, that sounds good. I just wanted to make sure that we would get those details with the application.
Right. So anything else on our on the funding guidelines? I think we went through that pretty well. So then all we have left are Um,
Oh, sorry. I just want to go back to Mary's comment on the funding guidelines. You said, shows how the project will increase general public access to the arts in Gig Harbor, and then a question mark. Strength of. I'm just not sure what to do with her notes here.
what page is that?
That's page 4 under funding guidelines.
Oh, okay.
Top, number 1.
The applicant should demonstrate the public value to the community and emphasize the strengths. Oh,
She just added, so the applicants demonstrate the public benefit and value to the community and shows how the project will increase general public access to the arts in Gig Harbor
yeah, I like that.
and emphasizes the strengths of Gig Harbor. So then she's got, I guess she wants us to pull that second line down to number 3. Target audience.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm thinking that she's questioning the phrase emphasizes the strengths of Gig Harbor. I'm not quite sure I understand what that means. But I do like what she suggested.
Yeah.
Shows how the project will increase general public access to the arts in Gig Harbor. I think that question mark that she's got there is, what does it mean emphasizes the strengths of Gig Harbor?
When you pay admission, where does the admission money go?
It goes to the organization.
Okay, it helps them pay for putting the thing on.
Say again?
It helps the grantee for the expenses of putting the performance on or the arts on or whatever.
Right. Yeah, the organization gets any ticket money, but we also ask if there will be free or pay what you can performances.
Okay.
Could number 1 mean, or just have the word arts, emphasizes the strengths of the arts in Gig Harbor
Oh,
or something?
Well, I feel like that was meant to be like what's unique to Gig Harbor, right? Yeah,
that's really objective.
Yeah.
It's objective.
why don't we just eliminate emphasize?
I vote for that.
Emphasizes the strength. Let's do that. Is everybody okay with that?
Just eliminate it.
Eliminate emphasizes the strengths of Gig Harbor.
Yeah.
But include Mary's suggested language. Show how the
Got it.
project will increase general public access to the arts in Gig Harbor.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay,
What,
thanks.
would you say that again, Charlie?
Sure. So number 1 on the guidelines,
Yeah.
the applicants demonstrate the public benefit / value to the community and show how the project will increase general public access to the arts in Gig Harbor.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then a period. And then the next part of that, number 1, the applicant showed that the event will be broadly advertised to the community, etc., moves down to number 3.
Okay.
Okay.
Everybody good with that?
Great.
So I think we've covered that page. And again, we'll need to change that very top heading to 2021. And that budget to 25,000.
Yep.
I think that the information about the Arts Commission is pretty clear. About the Gig Harbor Arts Commission?
In terms of the process?
Page 5 of 5.
Yeah, just make,
Oh.
I really like Mary's suggestion on, at the top of that, number 4. I think that what she's written is great. Lynn, do you have that?
Yes. So let's just clarify what that says here. Okay, notifications of award, partial award, or wait. Notifications of award, partial award, or non-award of fund. Okay.
Is that a new bullet, a new number?
Oh, there it is.
No, she just added to page 5, number 4.
Number 4, got it.
Notifications of award, comma, partial award, or non-award of funds.
Okay, thank you.
And then she has Gig Harbor Arts Commission may elect to award only a portion of the funding requested. So in this circumstance, the applicant and the Arts Commission staff will come to an agreement on any required changes in the scope of the project as defined in the final contract. Okay, so where would all that go?
I think it goes in funding. Yeah.
That was just, I can see, sorry. That I think was Mary's note to us. And she's suggesting we add, the Arts Commission may elect to award only a portion of the funding requested. And then she's saying we would, in this case, right? We would
Oh, we
agreement.
notify them that they're only going to get a portion of what they've asked for, but allow them an opportunity to amend their application?
Oh,
Budget, I
Is
don't
that
think,
what she's saying?
you know what? It does sound like she's saying, oh, if we're only going to give a portion, we will then allow the applicant to, Well, I don't know. We've not done that. We just give them a portion and then we don't ask them, right, how they're going to revise it with that smaller amount of money.
No, they just have to figure out how they're going to do it.
Right. And they just have to account for that portion.
Right.
Yes.
But I think she's saying, remember last year, there was a couple of times that we went back to the applicant and said, you can't, we're not going to award you the money because you're asking for capital equipment or it doesn't meet the criteria here or there. And we allowed them to amend their application, even though it was after the submission date, to fit our criteria. And I don't know if we want to do that again, or we want to be as inclusive and kind as possible. But, you know.
no, a recipient has the opportunity to turn it down. And it is totally standard practice to get some tiny portion of a giant grant amount that you have applied for. So I think the recipient can decide with what is awarded, are they able to move forward or not?
I don't recommend adding that paragraph about in this circumstance. That just opens up a door.
I think that was Mary's note to us about, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I agree with Samantha. It's totally typical to apply to multiple grants for a project, and it's also very typical to get funding for less than what you applied. You don't even have to specify that really. It's generally understood that you might get a portion. And then if you can't continue the project with the funding you've got in hand, then you either ask to revisit and adjust the project with the funders if they're interested, or you cancel the project.
Okay.
Right.
I would say on number 3 of the funding process for informal discussions about the grants, if that's something we require the applicants to attend, adding that language, like applicants may be invited to attend an informal discussion on these dates.
My personal feeling is that we should make that a requirement. It was so helpful last year. For those of us who were involved in this last year, to be able to meet face to face or Zoom to Zoom with the applicant and ask questions, and then let them explain what they're, if we had any questions, just let them tell us make us your pitch. And I think that the three of us that were involved in that, or four of us, found that very helpful.
Was that for every single applicant or for a selected?
Actually, we let it be not mandatory, but everyone did. Everyone who was an applicant did come, even though we said it was optional. But I think we should make it mandatory. That's my feeling.
Yeah, we have that on the top of the very first page as well. The applicant should be prepared to attend an informal discussion of their proposed project.
Yes.
It was super beneficial.
And
Yeah.
it definitely required way more time on our part because we had to, and Molly's part, because we had to then be available for 2 entire evenings, or 2 evenings and a Saturday or something, so that we could let them have their 10 minutes of
Mhm.
FaceTime with us. But it was so beneficial. And I think we specified just 10 minutes. They have 10 minutes to make their presentation to us, and then we will have 5 or 10 minutes of discussion. So, I mean, we put a time clock on it.
And we got them all done in one day instead of 2, but it was a long night, right? But yeah.
Right. I think it was a pizza night.
And nobody seemed to want to come on the Saturday.
Yeah,
Right.
that was good.
Yeah. But I think we maybe still need to offer that option, even though nobody did it last year.
Yeah.
I think we need to offer them 2 choices. And then we also will, among ourselves, including Molly or whomever, give them an allotted time. So number 1 is going to be here at 5:30 and you're out of here at 5:45. And the next one starts. We need to have a schedule ourselves, and we notify them of what their time is. And if they don't show up by that time, then we'll have to figure out how to do it.
It'll all be a Zoom meeting, and so all they'll have to do is they'll log on as attendees, and then when their time is ready, they can listen to all the presentations. When the time comes up, I'll move them over to be a participant or a panelist. And when their time is done, I'll go, and then move them off.
We love it when she makes that sound.
Your time is up.
Yeah,
Need the
Really?
shepherd's hook.
really.
I would think the edit then to number 3 is applicants attend informal discussions about their grant proposal and then whatever those dates are. Because right now it's read that who knows who that informal discussion is with.
Right,
Great.
good. Okay. So are we ready to establish a schedule?
Can I add something to number 7?
Sure.
Applicants submit invoice and follow-up reports to the city no later than 2 weeks after the event and no later than December, whatever date we come up with. December 20th might be a little late in the year.
I think we said December 11th.
That's what it was last year. It's a Saturday, so we'll say December 10th.
Sure.
Okay.
Let's see, council meeting. They wouldn't get their check until
It should match whatever date goes on the first page of the application.
Yeah.
The data projects.
If they want to get paid by the end of the year, it would go to council on the 27th, even though we don't have that meeting. The checks are cut and mailed by the 28th, but I'd have to have the information back by, yeah, the 10th may do it.
Okay. Okay, so everything to Molly by December, or the new Molly by
Let's
December
say
10th.
December 8th.
December
Second
8th?
Wednesday, yeah.
Do you even need to have that no later than 2 weeks? Like if you just have a deadline for December 10th at the end of the year? I mean, if they
Well-
don't submit, it's them not getting reimbursed. I mean,
Yeah, but that also leaves all of those artists that procrastinate, leaving it till the last minute and dumping them all on the city clerk in
Mhm.
one
Okay.
week. So
oh, okay,
if the event is in August, let's get let's get them on the mindset that they have to get this done and turned in.
okay, that's fair.
Please.
Great.
Since number 7 also says use the attached project completion form, does anybody have a sample of what that is? I assume that's the final report.
I can pull it up if you'd like me to.
I just assume that's going to need some edits too, based on everything we've talked about with this.
Let me pull it up. Where'd it go? Okay, can you see it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Yeah, the city clerk's email is gonna have to change.
Mhm.
Oh, geez, that's gonna be a tough one.
Molly, y'all can just make a generic city clerk at City of Gig Harbor email. As a whole.
Unfortunately, our IT department won't allow generic anythings.
It's in your name. Would it go to the new? Would it?
Yeah, I would.
No, because as soon as I'm gone, they deactivate my account. I
Oh,
could maybe have it go to Josh for now.
Hmm.
Or it could go to one of the members who could then forward it to whoever's in.
One of us, you mean?
Yes. Could we replace it, everything to Charlie, and then Charlie can forward it to the new city clerk or whoever's taking the meetings at the time?
I think that's a city question in terms of compliance.
yeah.
Oh, I don't think there's any problem. If they don't get it to Charlie, then Charlie doesn't get it to me, they don't get paid.
Okay. So please return completed applications to GHAC chair at, like, so we're identifying who is this, since it's not a city of Gig Harbor.net address, I would say, I want to know who this person is I'm sending it to, right? So,
That's true.
are you okay with that, Charlie? Like,
Yeah. And then, but probably my own personal email address. Because otherwise, who knows if I'm gonna look at another email address.
right.
So
So
GHA Arts Commission Chair,
Molly is not so sure.
well, he's not so sure. Okay.
Oh, I'm trying to think of, the thing is no matter what we put in there, as far as a city address, it could be totally different by December of this year. And what happens if, yeah,
Molly, and if some of these projects are completed in, before you leave, which is possible, if somebody wants to have last year, remember somebody wanted to have a Valentine's Day
Yeah.
Event. But
Oh,
if they finish their event before you leave, then you are the person that they would send it to, unless you want them to send it to Josh.
Mm. So yeah,
as long as you, let's put Stecker, well, actually his email is changing too. So it's going to be jstecker@gigharborwa.gov.
what?
Yeah, all of our emails are changing.
Oh, geez.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. I love my job. But as long as you guys keep it in your mind that if something happens between now and December, that you'll alert, to who the new city clerk is going to be, whether it's Josh or whomever. Maybe you can send out a notice to them that the project completion report needs to be sent to this address instead. Or, if we put Charlie in there, then
I don't think that Charlie needs to be having in her house everybody's receipts. That feels messy.
oh, she wouldn't have them. She would just take the email and then forward it to whoever.
It's an extra layer that like we wouldn't normally be processing all of that information on our personal emails. So that feels weird to me. As a grantee, that feels super weird to me.
Could you leave it general, saying just the city clerk or something like that, and say that will be submitted later on, or provided
Tell
later
the
on?
report to the city clerk, Gig Harbor City
Yes,
Clerk.
yes.
Okay.
Okay. So right now the application can go to Molly because that's no problem. You'll be here for 6 months. So the application period is well within your time here, right? So your name, the only problem is submitting all the final reports. That's who we, right?
Right.
That's who we don't have the name for, but it could be general city clerk.
Yeah.
Then they have to just find out who
Yes.
that is.
On the front page, make sure you change that email address as well to mtowsley@gigharborwa.gov.
Okay, when is that changing?
It's already changed.
Oh,
Our
okay.
old ones are still in effect, but it will be going away soon. So
Gov. Okay. Okay. Oh, sorry. Did you say M Towsley at? It's not.
yeah, it's first initial, last name
Okay. Okay.
at gigharborwa.gov.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so anything else on this grant report? Yeah, it'll have to change to 2021, of course.
Yeah.
You have to change the 14 days for completion of the event of your project, or December 8th, whichever comes earliest.
Thank you.
Okay. 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 Let's see. Okay.
One of the things that must be in the contract for these grant awards is that they have to give acknowledgement to the Arts Commission or to the city of Gig Harbor. Do we want to have in the final grant report that they need to submit like a PDF or a proof or a brochure or something where they've announced that credit? And I also don't think that requirement is in the grant application.
Yeah, it should be in the should be in
In the guidelines.
fine print. Yeah, it's got to be in there somewhere. Right.
We do tell them in that meeting, the face-to-face meeting, that we want them to put the city logo to acknowledge that it was from a grant from the City of Gig Harbor's Arts Commission.
It is not in our
But
application.
yeah, we just tell them that verbally, but that's a good idea, Samantha.
Are you kidding me? What? I thought for sure that's in here.
Maybe it should be under in the Creative Endeavor Grant Guidelines. Maybe we should have a number 5.
Oh my God.
Grant recipient will include the city logo on all printed materials and acknowledge funding was provided by the City of Gig Harbor Arts Commission.
If you just want it on print material, that's one thing.
All
Many,
promo materials.
I was gonna say many of these grants aren't printing anything.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All collateral.
Grant recipient will include the City of Gig Harbor.
Logo.
um,
In all publicity.
Promotional materials.
promote. That's, man, I would have bet money that was in here.
I know.
That's so weird.
I thought it was, but I know we talked about it to them.
Yeah.
And the band didn't know that that was a requirement, and so they didn't include it in their summer thing. I think it finally got added when it got put up on the web later, but they didn't include it in the original.
Oh, good catch, Samantha. That's so bizarre.
Well, and that could be because what we funded for the band were not those concerts. And what we funded were their
Their tutoring.
individual ensemble
Yeah, tutor.
experiences.
So if we add that as a kind of requirement under the funding guidelines, just at the top of this document that you're sharing, Molly, since I can't scroll it, can you scroll it back up to the top? Okay, wait, go down to summary of expenses. It says attach receipts, not that one. Somewhere it said attach photos. Where did I see that?
That's at the very 2 photos. It's got to be on here somewhere.
It's on there somewhere. I don't know where it is since I can't scroll it.
It's at the bottom.
Expenses,
Please
receipts.
attach one or more photos of the project or event to this report.
Do we also want to say, I don't know, it doesn't really matter, but I know a lot of grants that I apply for, you have to submit proof that you actually did put the logo on something, like a screenshot, or I don't know if we care, but that's another way to monitor that.
The poetry readings, for example, didn't have any printed publicity. But they did in their events give us verbal acknowledgement. But there really wasn't an opportunity for them to show the city logo.
Did they send emails? How did they promote their event?
It was a Zoom meeting.
Well, I know, but how did they let people know how to attend that Zoom meeting? There must have been an email
That
or website.
I'm not sure. I don't.
Yeah.
They emailed flyers. They had a couple flyers designed, and
That's true.
Pretty sure I remember seeing the city logo on that, but
I think that there was. I think that either a city logo or that I know that they did somehow acknowledge funding was from the City of Gig Harbor Arts Commission.
hmm. Maybe included in this packet, we should have the city logo, a couple city logo files attached, like, you know,
As a PDF.
digital form of like a JPEG, a PNG file, or maybe just a PNG file, or a couple formats that people might be able to use easily. Dan, can you tell me again what you what you said at the top? We asked you complete this form within 14 days of the event.
Okay, within 14 days of the event or December 8th, whichever is earliest. That means that if they complete it like in August, they turn out the report. But for sure, they have to, and submit their invoice. For sure, they have to do it by December 8th.
Your project. Or by December 8th.
Yeah, I mean, that's just to prevent all of them coming at one time.
So how should I word that? Or by December 8th.
On or before. Maybe that's another way to do it.
At the latest, or yeah.
On or before means the same thing, but it may not be interpreted that way.
Okay, what if, okay, we ask you to complete this form within 14 days of the event or completion of your project, period. Reports will not be accepted after December 8th.
That'll work, probably.
I'm just worried about giving them the impression that, oh, I've got till, you know, reports.
I mean, the question is, if somebody has an event in August and then they submit their invoice in November, are we going to deny their request for reimbursement? Well, then there's not much we can do to police that.
Right, right. Okay, so I have reports will not be accepted after December 8th.
Say reports / invoices.
Okay,
Because they may submit the report and say, oh, well, I didn't know you wanted the invoices too.
right, okay.
And just for everybody's information, I just forwarded everyone a copy of the flyer from the poetry series, and it does have the city logo on it.
Okay.
Then I would just add to this report to copy photos and a copy of promotional materials acknowledging the city. And that can be a screenshot, that can be a PDF, that can be whatever.
Yeah.
Proof of,
Samantha, do
or an example of.
you want me to add that all the way to the bottom where it says please attach?
I can only see the bottom of this application, so I don't know if it needs to go somewhere else, but yes.
Okay, so please, it says please attach one or more photos of the project / event to this report. How did you phrase that?
In addition, please provide a copy of promotional materials showing the city was acknowledged or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not quite the right language. I can probably pull it up out of some other grant I have.
As proof or?
City logo or acknowledgement of city funding.
Yeah.
Promotion materials.
Rob also probably has that language because I know that the ArtsWA requires that of their grants. So if Robin's going to be formalizing this, you can put a little note to her. She'll have that language, and I probably have it somewhere on my computer that I could pull up too.
Materials. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay, people, we need dates so I can start getting them on the calendar.
Thank you. Thank you, Molly. So last year, we wanted, the deadline was going to be, application deadline, we had to have it by noon, February 21st. That would be noon, February 19th this year. That's a Friday.
That would mean that we have it out, that Lynn and Robin make the changes that we just discussed. Do we need to send it back to everybody for final approval?
Probably wouldn't hurt.
Yeah. I think that's too soon, February 19th. That sounds really quick. And plus, do we want to have another workshop informative session where people ask questions? That's pretty popular.
That's true.
So what is the process for letting people know that it's open? Like, do you let previous grant recipients know that it's open and then publicly advertise?
Molly can, well, I personally have told previous recipients that we will personally notify them when the process is open again and encourage them to reapply, because a client of mine who had received an LTAC grant last year didn't know that they were supposed to reapply last September and they missed the deadline. So
Right.
not a client, but,
Here-
and so
Announcement that we used. I can pull it up for you. Get all this other stuff. Here's the announcement that we used probably for the first one. Oh, I have to reshare this, don't I?
Yeah.
New share.
Does it go like up on the like the Arts Commission website and then like on Facebook for the city and places like that?
Yeah, and then you guys, all the artists, or all of the arts commissioners shared it with their groups as well.
right.
Okay.
And I think it goes on the city's website. I think that it goes in the Gigabyte. Molly, maybe we could have the mayor announce it in his Friday Facebook
Blog, yeah.
blog.
That's how late we were the first time that we did this.
Oh God, it was
We
awful.
didn't have the workshop until May 30th.
But that was 2 years ago. That was our
Yeah,
first
this
year.
was the very, very first one.
So last year, our deadline for application was February 21st.
And I can't
And-
tell you when we might have had the announcement or the first workshop.
Maybe I can. Let's see.
Let me see if I can find it again. Oh, here we go. Here's a more current one. Okay, January 29th.
Was the workshop?
last year.
Okay,
I have. Oh, the workshop. Yep. Okay. And we reviewed the proposals on February 27th.
right. That was the in-person. February 27th was the in-person.
Right. The in-person interviews. Yeah.
Why is May 30th called a pre-application?
That's 2 years ago, Dan.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Disregard that. Let me start sharing the, I'll do another screen share here of the current one, the right one. Share screen. Okay. This is the one that we used last year.
Okay. Got it.
Let me make all of you people small. There we go. Okay, so we can look at the calendar and look at the dates.
Okay. Okay.
January, well, since we're doing this as a Zoom meeting. Oh, this is just the announcement that goes out to everyone.
Right.
So what we need to do is figure out a date for a pre-application Zoom workshop.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you need to add the word virtual Zoom workshop? I don't know.
Virtual workshop. That way we can use GoToMeeting, Zoom, whatever we want.
Put Zoom, oh yeah, okay. They put Zoom in parentheses. It was Zoom.
Time of day does this happen?
That was in the at 4:30, I think.
I think it was 5:30 or 5 o'clock.
30.
5:30.
5:30.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, are we prepared to put something together by next Thursday?
I'm
Uh,
not, but.
Y-
Oh, Pierce County Regional Council, let's see.
Lynn, how quickly do you think you and Robin can get the application updated?
Well, okay. Robin has the master file. I
Yeah.
could get that from her. Yeah, I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be updated by, well, even today, late today, and then we can pass it around tomorrow for review.
Well, it kind of depends on Robin's schedule today.
It does, yeah.
But then even if we get this published, say even by Friday, we get it up on the website and everything, that only leaves 5 days. Like if we moved it to the 28th, Charlie, you've got a Restoring the Park ad hoc
Oh, you're right. Yeah,
3.
you're right.
I know that. And do we need to have it after hours? I mean, I could probably run this from home.
I think for equity purposes, you can't assume everybody can just take off work. So I think 5:30 is good.
5:30. Can we move to the first week in February,
I think we need to.
Yeah, what about the 4th?
4th of February?
Is
Hold
there
on.
any wise that night?
So 4th of February is a Thursday. I mean, that works for me.
That works for me.
I can't do any Thursdays in the evening.
No.
But I don't know if you need all of us there for the,
It's more of a Q&A to people who might potentially be interested.
It's
in
kind
a-
of a courtesy thing. If you want to apply for the grant and you have questions about how to do it, here's your opportunity to ask those questions and get answers.
Yeah, I don't
So
think
it
it's
wouldn't necessarily be a requirement for everyone to be available. Jennifer, although we always love when you are.
Yeah.
I have my own little artist at ukulele at 5:30 at night. Every
Oh.
Thursday.
We're going to be able to have a ukulele band here pretty soon.
Is that your child?
My daughter, yeah. And my son has a math competition that day, and I don't know how long it goes. So the 4th is pretty much just crazy.
Yeah.
Good work, Mom.
We'll see.
So does the 4th work for the majority of us?
As far as I know, yes.
Great.
Yeah, I'm good too.
Okay.
So 5:30, February 4th, Thursday?
Yeah.
All right. So the next date then is application deadline.
Do we want to give them a month and say March 4th?
Mhm.
Or we could do March 1, which is a Monday.
I say no later than March 1st.
Well, they'll have more than a month because the application will already be out there. It's just if they want to ask questions.
Right.
That's a Monday. Okay, announces the 2021 support goal. The Arts Commission will hold a virtual pre-application workshop on February 4th.
Good.
So I'll put the login information there too.
Sure.
2021 funding will help. Learn more. Why is that centered? I don't like that. Deadlines for application. The deadline for applications, March 1st. Completed funding. 2021 city budget. Download an application here. Blah, blah, blah. And I'll have to add the application link there.
Molly,
Yes.
go back to deadline for application paragraph. And
Right.
I think we want to say in there, grants must be grant recipients to submit their project recap and invoices. Final invoice.
Oh, I shouldn't have. Okay.
Yeah, see what? All projects must be complete.
In time, grant recipients, the project recap reports
And,
and invoices.
yeah,
Okay.
that might be what bit us on the foot with the band last time.
Yeah. All she saw was 2 weeks after the completion.
Okay.
She didn't see the other portion, which was in the contract. It wasn't really apparent on, it was in this document, it was in other documents, but it wasn't.
Where she looked. Okay, so how does that schedule? Oh, do we want to put,
Oh, we need to start coming up with the dates for the, okay, they're due on March 1st. Our March meeting will be what, March 10th? Yeah, March 10th. So we can review the applications on the 10th. And, well, no. When do we want to hold the interviews?
Well, we could hold them. I think it should be not much more than a week after the deadline. If we,
What if we do the 4th and the 6th?
well, I don't think we can. If we're
Oh, yeah.
asking.
All they have to do is submit them. I put them on a log and copy them and send them to everybody to view. It's not like you're making any decisions until after you hold the, excuse me, I'm just going blank, in-person, informal
Interviews.
interviews.
I mean, if we
Well-
want to give people a chance to read them over the weekend, we could make the application due on Friday, February 26th. And then people could look at them before the meetings, but
I think February 26th for the deadline is okay. I mean, let me see what we're talking about here. Yeah, February 26th for the application deadline. I'm okay
That's
with
a-
that.
Yeah, that's really only 5 weeks though to promote it and then the question is, what if you get a ton of applicants? Are we going to interview everybody or just
I think we have to.
the finalists? Okay.
I think we, Lynn, what do you think? You were, and maybe Linda.
I think it's beneficial to interview every applicant. Yeah. Last year, how many did we have? 7? And we did it all in one night. It was a long night, but it was very valuable.
It was at least 7, yeah. Because there were a couple of them that we listened to, but we didn't award any money.
Right.
February 26th. So I'm okay with Thursday, the 4th and Saturday, the 6th of March for the in-person interviews. How does everyone else feel about that?
Okay.
That then lets us devote our March 10th meeting to making our selections.
I'm okay with that.
So I could attend the 6th, but probably not the 4th.
Okay,
Oh yeah, it's Thursday.
that's a Thursday. You want to do Wednesday?
Um,
Third?
is it in the evening or?
Yeah,
Oh,
they'd be 5:30.
Wednesday, March 3rd.
are you available March 3rd, Jennifer?
I think I can do the 3rd.
If we need to, we may be able to add another date on the 4th.
For the interviews?
Yeah,
Okay,
like we're gonna be getting too many applicants. If we do them in half-hour slots, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We could do 7.
You're gonna have to change Thursday, March 3rd to Wednesday, March 3rd.
Oh, thank you.
I would clarify that that's evening.
On the evening
or at 5, yeah, evening
of
of,
Wednesday, March 23rd, and morning of Saturday.
Yes.
Can we just put the actual times or?
It's gonna be a range,
Oh, I see, right, okay.
because everybody's schedule is a half hour. There will be informal
true.
interviews on the evening and morning of Saturday. Appointments will last 30 minutes. I was gonna say beginning, okay, the evening of March 3, beginning at 5:30 PM. And the morning, oops. Doesn't like that. And the morning of Saturday, March 6, beginning at 9, 8:30. What's your, I mean, these are Zoom meetings, so
9 is good.
9.
how about there will be informal half-hour applicant interviews.
And they will be notified as to their appointment.
Oh, and I was gonna say contact city clerk to, what's the words I want to say? To schedule your appointment.
Yes. And then what we did last year was, I guess we polled all the applicants to say, is Thursday better for you or is Saturday morning better for you?
You know, yeah. Well, they can call.
Oh, okay.
Or
We're gonna
schedule.
contact and give a time, and they'll be told that time's already been given,
Yeah.
and I'll pick another time.
I wish I was clever enough to have one of those online, to do the appointments online. It's a whole new program that has to be integrated that I don't have the expertise, and Josh probably doesn't have the time to set something up like that, where they'd actually plug in their time on an online.
Yeah, we'll give them their time.
Yeah.
Okay, so does this look good to everybody?
Do you want them to schedule the appointment, or are we going to tell them what time?
Well, they call Molly and say they're available Wednesday or Saturday. And then based on that, Molly, you want you and I to, you and me to make up the schedule, or how do you want to make up the schedule?
I'll just do it like last year. I just have the points. We don't want to go past 9 o'clock, right?
Right.
We'll just have 30-minute incremental in this area here, and I need to view Saturday as well.
I think, didn't we just give them do 20 minutes last time?
Well, they get 20 minutes with including Q&A. Let's see.
I
Half
think
hour
we,
applicants, including Q&A.
I think we gave them like 10 minutes to make their pitch, and then we have 10 minutes of Q&A.
Oh, that's right. There will be.
And then we had 5 minutes between each one. So it was actually not a full half hour. That way we got more in.
Yeah, 20-minute interviews. Okay. Because we want them to allow the amount of time so that they know they have to stick around and answer questions. But
Right.
still give you, but boy, a lot of them, I thought they took you longer than 10 minutes to talk about them.
Well, we cut them off.
You gotta change the last line of that paragraph, because you said they to schedule, and they're gonna receive a schedule, right?
Oh. No, I'm usually a little more flexible. First come, first serve. If
Oh,
you,
okay, I misunderstood what you said, that we give them the time.
no,
Okay,
I
great.
try to work with them first.
Molly, delete the S off of minutes. You put 20 minutes. Informal 20-minute.
Can I ask a question that's a little bit, it's on topic, but it's kind of back to our application. It's something that just occurred to me. I don't see anywhere on there where there's a max grant request amount. Are we wanting to say like max amount requested is 5,000 or 2,500 or do we not want that at all?
No, we don't, we give more than 2,500. We just divvy it up. We have one day when we all get up on the big erase board and we decide who's going to get how much.
Okay, so somebody could submit an application for $20,000 in theory.
They
And
could.
tell 'em it's 5,000.
Yeah,
Okay,
they could.
okay,
I mean, we had a couple of applicants last year that requested, like $10,000 and we gave them 4 maybe.
okay.
It's just up to us using that matrix that Lynn kind of came up with to decide, okay, of our $25,000 pot, how much are we going to give each one of these? And very seldom does the whole amount, well, I can't say very seldom. They don't always get the whole amount that they requested.
Okay.
I'll be curious to see how many applicants we get, given that, we're still completely knee deep in COVID problems. Do you think we need to mention something about, I think it's a given, that there's gonna be a lot of restrictions throughout probably most of this year, so.
I don't know. I feel like whatever the city restrictions are around COVID, it just needs a disclaimer that like all proposed projects will accommodate whatever public mandates are for COVID regulations. I feel like that needs to be right up at the top. So like somebody should not present like in March to do a 5,000 people parade. I can't imagine that's going to be possible. So probably some sort of disclaimer right up at the top.
So,
Projects must follow the governor's
COVID guidelines.
COVID guidelines.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we certainly don't want to like allocate city finances to be not in compliance with state regulations.
right. Okay, so I'll just put that at the top part of the application.
Okay.
And I hate to interrupt with one more thing, but it's after 12 and I absolutely have to go.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
I was looking at that.
So
So
what's needed for us to like move all this forward, and what is needed for those of us who can show up to this info session on the 4th?
We need to know when we're gonna award the grants. We need to do that. Grants will be awarded. This one, the one from last year said grants will be announced by late March. So are we gonna stick with that, or is it?
I think that's good,
Okay.
because if we devote our March 10th regular meeting to just figuring out who gets what, who gets how much, then we should be able to, and we will know by the end of the meeting on March 10th, do we need to get together again because we didn't finish and have a special meeting?
Okay.
So I think saying grants will be, awards will be announced in late March.
Are we anticipating being able to get the grant awards to the council
Oh,
for approval?
good
Let's
point.
see, they're on the 22nd. And then the final award, see, the recommendation can go to council on March 22nd and then announced to the applicants the end of March.
Mhm.
Can council can approve as a consent amendment
Oh,
on the consent agenda?
we can sure try. It's been done in the past. Sometimes Councilmember Franich will pull it. So be prepared that he may want to pull it off to
Well, let's try for the consent agenda.
on March 22nd. We
Yeah.
should be able to make the decision on the 10th, draw it up. I have to have it ready to run the packet on the 16th. So, okay. So March 10th, we do March 10th, review applications.
Mhm.
So if we don't finish on the 10th, we need to like right now set a date for the special meeting because Molly has between the 10th and the 16th to get the packet together.
Yeah, so
So do
all I
we,
need is 24 hours in advance, so you could have it on Thursday or Friday.
March 10th.
Yeah, because we can always cancel it if you make the decision. So you want me to make a Gig Harbor Arts Commission special meeting on Friday, the 12th?
Sure. Does that work for everybody?
Yes,
But it has to be in the morning if it's on Friday, for me.
10 o'clock, not early enough?
10 o'clock is fine.
Okay.
Because Gary has physical therapy every Monday and Friday.
I can do an hour at 10. If you think we're going to need more than that, I'll need to start earlier.
How about if we do it at 9:30?
Okay,
9:30 to 11:30.
works for me.
Ah,
Okay.
Sorry.
But-
Why are we having that special meeting? I totally missed
We're
that.
just gonna get it on the books just in case we run out of time on the 10th to
Oh,
go
okay.
through the applications and make a choice.
Okay, great.
But
Just,
it may be, we'll cancel if not needed.
okay,
It's better to announce it ahead of time and have it on the books than it is to try and scramble and get one scheduled.
great.
If we have it on Friday morning, I can still have it in the packet on the 16th
Okay,
for the 22nd. Okay.
And I'm afraid I have to leave too, everybody. I'm sorry. Gary
am.
gets Gary
Thanks.
gets the stitches out today and I've got to
Oh.
be the chauffeur.
okay.
Okay, as soon as I get the application form and it's all been approved, I'll get this advertisement up as far as I can get it up. And forward it to you guys to share with your people and.
Okay,
And
Okay.
so the ball's in Lynn and Robin's court.
Okay.
To get the application updated and then you want to send it to Molly and she can send it to us? Molly, does that work or?
Sure.
Okay,
okay. Hopefully everybody will have that by sometime tomorrow.
great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
bye,
Motion to adjourn?
Oh, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
second.
Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thank you, Molly.
Thank you, Molly.
Everybody.
I'm trying to leave.
I'll leave